Let's talk about the Astros in a way, because it seems like there's a question worth asking on whether or not Alex Bregman was actually going to be ever going to return to the Astros. It was very will they, won't they from our perspective. We got reporting here and there where, at times it felt like the Astros were more likely than before to possibly bring him back. Some of the moves that happened then seemed like they opened up doors at times. Even at one point, the Altuve to left field was kind of positioned as a potential way to bring Bregman back. But all of those things now aside, it seems like that might have never really been a possibility as we had thought from the outside looking in.
I don't think there will, and of course, I'm not trying to, now that he's gone, whatever, as a texter said, don't let the door hit you in the back. I'm just being
We ain't want you anyway.
No, I'm just being honest. We wanted him. I don't think there was any chance he was going to come back to the Astros.
No, I don't either, especially when you Jen McCaffrey, who covers the Red Sox for the Athletics, in a recent piece. While the Red Sox felt good about their approach, there was still a significant uncertainty in weeks and days leading up to Bregman signing. The free agent weighed offers from Detroit, Toronto, and the Cubs. Period.
Someone's missing there.
Wait, what?
That'd be your Houston Astros.
Right? And look, I mean, I don't know if that's just, you got incomplete or whatever, but I'm willing to believe that that's a fair accounting of what happened, because that fully establishes a ironclad trend with Jim Crane and this organization, which is when it comes to their big ticket players, they'll put out there, they'll do and I got to give Adam Spillane his credit because he called this. They'll put out, they'll let it through the back channels be known. This is the offer that we have out there, but it's not an offer to be taken seriously. And we saw that on the back end of this. And when it comes to, we saw the same number of years, 6 for 171.5 from, what was that, Detroit? Was that? And you had 6 for 156 that was out there, early, and that we knew was not the best offer, and that it never changed. And this is in the same line that we saw with Correa, and the same way that we saw George Springer walk out his door. And it feels like this is the way that they handle things when it comes to their big ticket free agents. And I don't think that's acceptable.
No, I don't either. And I think the reason that it has been sort of not ignored, but sort of you cope with it, is because they've continued to win at the highest level. Like, if this is a season where it doesn't happen, it's all going to come back down on the Astros. And specifically, if we're being honest, I mean, it's very obvious. It's Jim Crane. He gets his people, and Brown is saying, yeah, we're still having discussions, even though they're not.
Well, and then there was times they was like, we haven't talked to Boris. It's internal discussions.
Yeah. But it's going to bite them eventually. They've just been very, very fortunate to always either have the pieces in place, like Jeremy Pena to replace a Carlos Correa, or they've just managed to continue to win or add smart pieces here and there. But this is a strategy that it couldn't be more obvious right now. Like they will not pay. They will not pay what the market tends to say these guys are worth.
And for the first time, it seems like they actually moved away from it a little bit with Kyle Tucker getting ahead of that. Because that one felt very obvious that was not going to get to a place, and they traded him on in order to bring on Isaac Paredes, but probably more importantly, you also got in Cam Smith, who is a prospect that looks like he can do something in the relatively near future. And then, of course, don't forget Hayden Wesneski comes through in that trade. But that then turns my attention a little bit to the next big free agent.
I'm looking at it right now.
You knew exactly where I was going here.
Yep.
Framber Valdez.
Yep. He hasn't even – he said, I believe, Thursday or Friday that they haven't even had discussions yet.
Yeah. And I don't know if this was a fake quote or not, but he said he's looking forward to free agency.
They got to trade him at the trade deadline if they're going to do this.
If that's going to happen, they have to.
Like, you just and that's wild because that is your ace right now.
Yeah.
But I will be so sick. And I understand I'm getting myself riled up for something that's going to happen a year from now. But it seems like this is a trend that it's impossible to ignore. And I'm going to be we offered him 4 for something. And it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we know now. I mean, it's too obvious.
We should have known before.
We should have.
And Adam Spillane, who is our insider, and I should have trusted him as such. I just let the hopium get me high. He said it, man. Not a real offer.
And it was Thursday. Jason Bristol quoted him saying that, or paraphrased, saying that his people have not been approached by the Astros about an extension. I mean,
that sounds about right.
That's what they've been doing. it's kind of hard to be mad at the Astros, but it's also okay.
Is it?
It's okay to be mad.
I was like, is it hard?
Like the Astros continue to win, but I'm mad that they still continue to do this, and I think it's going to come back and
It
bite
seemed
them.
like they kind of operating on how the Patriots used to operate whenever it comes to players. Like, they never really paid nobody huge like that. And it's kind of like, do you want to come here to win or not?
Yeah.
Right, but at least in instances where it felt like you had somebody of value, send them somewhere and get value back. And this is like the talent drain is what gets you. And look, maybe I am being, it's possible. It's very possible that I'm just being greedy here. And you know what? I'll be greedy in this instance. Like, I feel like, yes, you've gotten a decade of, really great baseball. But why not 2? Right? Like, if you have an opportunity, keep that value in house and trade that player on a little bit early in order to make sure that you continue to return value. Like, I'd much rather that. And we're still dealing with losing these great players.
Yes.
We're still dealing with it.
Yes.
I'd rather deal with it, in the way that, hey, we're dealing with Kyle Tucker, and at least now you have an Isaac Paredes, and you can look forward to come in and add more to what you're doing. You didn't get an opportunity to do that in various instances, and you're not getting an opportunity.
Well, you know what really did it for me? Like, Alex Bregman had his availability with the Boston Red Sox, okay? And we knew that was coming. Keep in mind, Alex Bregman, iconic in this city, drafted number 2 overall by the Astros. All these, 2 world championships, all these big ALCS championship moments. So they asked him about leaving Houston.
How difficult was it for you at the end to leave an organization that you had been with your entire career?
Oh, definitely difficult. I have so much respect for the organization, top to bottom, all the players. Yeah.
That doesn't sound a guy that was.
That's a glowing endorsement, ain't it?
He goes, yeah. That's it. That sounds more like a guy that was frustrated. That it didn't even come close.
It sounded like he was frustrated, but he also sounded like, your phrase, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
This happened to all the players that was here when I was here.
I interpreted that. I don't know about you guys. That's a shot at the Astros. Because, 9 years, all the memories, drafted number 2 overall. And he's like, yeah, I got a lot of, respect for him. Got a lot of friends over there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what more is to say? And, honestly, considering that we never got to a place where the offer actually really and truly rose, I think the only thing that happened was Ari Alexander's written that they had raised the offer, increased the useful.
Right.
What does that actually do?
What does that do? Yeah.
Right. I think it might be fair to assume that this thing drug out in part because Bregman wanted the opportunity to maybe find something that maybe they come through for him. I think that is a way that you could interpret that. I don't know that I'm willing to say that that's definitively the interpretation that you can take away, but I think there's room for you to maybe hypothesize that might have been the way that this went. And they ain't come through for him, for him to be able to be an Astro for us.
I also wonder, look, Jose Altuve, another icon, maybe the most iconic Astro ever, probably so, but he was bending over backward. He was very, very public. He was adamant.
He put his foot down
yes,
publicly.
We're going to bring him back.
In a way that I just did not realize that he was capable of doing or willing to do.
He's fantastic in every way for this organization. I find it very hard to believe that this doesn't bother him. He's human. He that's his guy. He was on the record. He was doing everything he can to sort of lobby for Alex Bregman, and he knows what happened. He had to have been out there just going, this is frustrating, and maybe not telling the world, but he's got to be frustrated.
Yeah, I think it is, but also I feel like the Astros, even though I'm frustrated too, but they always still been in contention, man. They still been pretty good. So it's hard to really complain about that now. But I think it'd be really bad if they let somebody like this go and then they just fall off a cliff.
Yeah,
where it's just we could have kept the core together and probably won another World Series.
Spoke about losing Bregman today, and also about being in the outfield.
Yeah, we lost a big player, obviously, but we got to focus on the guys that we have here. He's obviously one of the best that ever played in Houston, and we're all gonna remember him and we're gonna miss him. But we're also happy for him. He's on a great deal, man. He's the $40 million is not a lot of players can get to that, and he got it. So we all happy for him and same thing. We got to move on and focus about the players we have here. Keep moving. We have great talent here, great players. They're definitely gonna do everything to win, and we'll see Alex down the road when we play in Boston or Houston.
That's about as candid as you'll ever get from Altuve because, man, he got his.
He got a great deal.
He got a great deal.
And that's one thing when it comes to players, no matter what, right? No matter what the sport is, kind of the thought is, hey, don't get between a dude and his money, right? Like don't hop in those places. And ultimately, right, there's a kinship when it comes to teammates, but there's also a kinship when it comes to like being a part of the union and being friends or whatever. And they looking up like, hey, you did right. Like you went and got yours, and I appreciate that. And I think that you could hear that from that aspect, and then just like, that's clearly a dude that's my friend over there, and I'm happy that he got what he was able to get.
Do this kind of worry you a little bit? Because I know we got some time to think about Jordan hitting free agency or when that time comes. Do that kind of worry you that they're going to have the same approach with him?
He's going to be one of the most expensive players.
That's what I'm saying, man.
I had not even gotten to that point.
Yeah, I know. We got some, but when that time.
All right, go ahead and trade. No, I'm just playing.
No,
That's a joke.
That
please.
time gonna come, man. This ain't about to be no cheap little 6 years, 156 type deal.
Well, the best examples we've seen of that level of player, you can bring him back, but you're gonna have to pay through the nose. Is we've already seen two. Carlos Correa. I mean, they were talking about numbers that were outrageous. When he was approaching that, and then Kyle Tucker. Tucker is the closest.
Kyle Tucker is the one.
He's the closest thing to.
And even with Correa, you had the injury conversation where you like, I wouldn't pay him that much. The elbow is always something. But when it comes to Jordan, man,
you know what it might be, because you have him locked up contractually through his age 31 season. They might just go, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
We got the good years.
Yep.
But of course, that is not till 2029 when he's a free agent.
We got
after the 2028
we got some years to talk about that, but that is something to think about, man.
I mean, at the very least, they do have him locked up for that time period, right? And so that's where you rock with. Hell, as a team, I don't know. You might not even be in the same kind of portion of the natural cycle of a team.
And they got a really good deal for him right now too.
They pretty damn good deal. Gotta admit. But Alex Bregman officially not an Astro, but the Astros are in West Palm Beach getting themselves ready there. And you mentioned Altuve, still in left field, still working on his fielding, seeing how that works, how that's gonna go.
He went straight out there. You want to hear that real quick? Him talking about the outfield?
Oh, sure, why not?
I want to play. I want to be in the lineup. Kid helping this team win. Kid hitting doubles and triples and homers for this team. So it doesn't really matter where I play. I'm gonna try to do my best. And we have a lot of talent. We have a great new players that definitely gonna help this team. And so that's what I'm excited about.
He said, I don't want to make it in the lineup.
I just want to play, man.
Which is like, hey, sounds like there wasn't an opportunity to be in the lineup to be a second base every day.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff from the Astros.